guys, welcome back. Thanks for joining me for another video. If you are new to my channel, my name is Stephanie. I am a life and relationship coach. If you are a subscriber and you're part of the notification community, thank you guys so much for all of your love and support. I hope everyone had a great and safe holiday season. So first off, I want to go over just some traits of a narcissistic mother if you are unsure of whether or not you possibly were raised by one. And then most importantly, I want to give you some tips on how you yourself can really heal this relationship. So right off the bat, there's two different types of narcissistic mothers. There's the enabler, and then there's the neglectful narcissistic mother. So the enabler enables the bad behavior that a child expresses. So with this type of mother, if there was more than one child in the household, she favored one child. So usually this is called the golden child, the black sheep of the family. Oftentimes people call this child. And so she put this child on a pedestal, a higher pedestal than her other children. She viewed this child very differently than the rest of her others. If you are an only child and you were raised by an enabling narcissistic mother, chances are you're narcissistic because your bad behavior was tolerated. You weren't taught boundaries. There weren't rules that were put in place in your household. And children need rules. They need to learn how to have empathy. They need to learn that the world, doesn't revolve around them to some extent. And they need healthy boundaries in order to learn how to become a respectful human being. So the next type of narcissistic mother is the ignoring, neglectful mother. So this mother, just like the enabler, very selfish, very self-absorbed, but really everything is about her. So her inability, I should say, to connect on an emotional level caused her to not be able to be there for you emotionally. And just like the enabler, the only difference really between the two is the neglectful mother, it doesn't enable bad behavior. She might say, yes, you shouldn't do that. There was no black sheep in the family or anything like that. She might have rules and boundaries, but everything was about herself. So she never did the things that a mother should do to put her child first because it was all about what she wanted. So quite frankly, she neglected you in the sense that maybe, you didn't get baths every day. Maybe you weren't fed properly. She neglected you in those areas because it was more so about what she wanted for herself in that moment, not about doing the hard things that you have to do as a parent or the loving things as a parent. It was really just all about herself. So while the enabling narcissistic mother oftentimes gave too much attention to either one child or two children or whatever, gave too much attention to the child, the neglectful mother didn't give enough attention. So one of the traits that both mothers definitely have is her appearance as a mother. So she was or pretended to be mommy of the year. So this narcissistic mother is the mother that attended every bake sale, was a part of PTO, was, heavily involved in the community. She hosted play dates at her house. All the sleepovers were at her house. She did a lot of things to appear to be the greatest mother in the world. So just like a narcissistic father or a narcissistic male, appearance is really, really important to these people. So there's an agenda and a motive as to why this parent is doing these certain things. So any parent, a healthy parent, can be a part of PTO, can do the bake sales, can want, to do the sleepovers at her house and things of that sort. But the difference between a healthy mother and the narcissistic mother is the agenda. So a healthy mother does these things because she's warm, because she's caring, because she has empathy, and she wants to give that love in different ways. Now, a narcissistic mother gives these things because of how it makes her look as a woman and as a mother. She doesn't do it based off of what is best for the child. So she's not going to put her children first. She's just going to do these things, again, because of how it makes her look as a woman. So other people will view me as mother of the year, even though I have an inability to connect with my child on an emotional level at home. That's irrelevant. How people are viewing me is what's really important and what's really filling me up inside. The next thing is her, quote, love was conditional. So unconditional love as a parent means I don't care who you are, what you do. I don't care the grades that you have. I don't care if you are the star athlete in the school. I don't care if you're a star in the school play. Nothing you do achievement wise means that I'm going to love you more. That if you get last place in the spelling bee, I'm going to love you just the same as if you won the spelling bee in general. So her love was always conditional because what you provided, the narcissistic supply that you gave her, the achievements that you had, how you made her look as a parent, as a mother, that is where her love is coming from. Her love is not coming from unconditional love. The next thing is you weren't allowed to be who you are. And this kind of coincides with the last one, but really and truly, you not being able to be who you are is a real thing. And oftentimes when you tried to be who you are, to express yourself, you were shamed. You were shamed, you were made to feel guilty. There was possibly passive aggressive behavior that was happening. You were maybe withheld, maybe the parent withheld kisses and hugs and affection of any sort because who you were in that moment was not who she wanted you to be. And so she punished you for it. Now, as a child, again, you're unaware of this stuff. You're unaware that you have a narcissistic mother. So when you begin to get punished for being who you are, what happens? You put a wall up as to who you are. And this is how narcissism is really formed. There's a shutting down of who I really am, of my true self, because it's not loved. That part of me, my true self, is not loved. So I have to become something or pretend to be something that I'm not in order to get love. And so that's why a narcissist is always searching for supply and validation outside of themselves, because they didn't learn, no one mirrored back that healthy sense of self for them to stay connected and say, you know what, I know who I am and I love myself, because their parents didn't do that for them. So remember, you were always and are always an extension of her. So that means that she was not able to be there for you emotionally. You weren't able to really be yourself and be raw and vulnerable and this is me, and she could really sit in a space for you. She was incapable of doing that. But when you did something great, she was front row center. So if you were the star athlete and it was the final game, she was there taking pictures like, that's my son, that's my daughter, very proud, showing everyone that she's a great mother because what you did gave her a high, essentially. So she was really living through you in that aspect. Or maybe when, growing up, you said, okay, I really want to be a chef. I really want to be an artist. And that's not what she wanted you to be. She wanted you to go to school. She wanted you to make a lot of money. She wanted you to work in the city. And that's what she promoted. And that's what she thought was being successful. She didn't care really about what you wanted, your uniqueness, and what would make you happy. All she wanted was what she would think society would view as successful and respectful, and that's the road that she wanted you to go down. The next thing is she never validated what you thought and how you felt. And this is huge. I mean, validation for children is absolutely huge because it's a test that what they're thinking is okay, that what they're feeling is okay, even though it's sometimes not what we want to have happen. So when our child is freaking out because there's no more ice cream in the house and they're throwing a tantrum and that's not what we want to have happen, we have to be able to have empathy for that. We have to be able to validate that child's feelings. And when I hear parents saying, well, you shouldn't feel that way, or there's no reason to feel that way, that's wrong. That is how the child feels. And one of the quickest ways to move through life in a healthy way is to honor what you're feeling and not stay attached to what you're feeling. So you were supposed to be taught how to validate what you're feeling, and then how do you move through that feeling in a healthy way. But if you were never even validated for what you felt, then oftentimes you just suppressed what you felt, and that causes more problems like anxiety and panic attacks and depression and insecurity and low confidence and things of that sort, a mess of problems, addiction, etc., than just learning these simple lessons of validating and then learning how to move through the feeling that you're feeling. So if you were never validated, then the story that you're always going to have is that guilt and shame story, that I'm not enough story that's going to be playing throughout the rest of your life. And you're always going to have that wound around with you unless you know where did that wound come from. And most often it came from that parent, that relationship with that parent, of not getting that validation, not getting that unconditional love. So it's one thing to understand, okay, these are the traits of a narcissistic mother. And as I'm saying these things, you in your mind can say, yep, my mother definitely did this. She was self-absorbed. Everything was about her. She only cared about what other people think. And she was so big in the town, but she never was emotionally there for me. So as I'm saying these things, you might be going, yep, that's me. Yep, that's me. That happened to me. But the biggest takeaway from this video is not me listing a bunch of traits. It's me giving you real tips on how to heal this relationship, because that's where a lot of your wounds and suffering comes from. So in order to really heal this relationship, I always think it's important to understand your parent. So for me, understanding why my parents did certain things, why my parents are the way they are, why anyone is the way they are, right? Someone that's hurt me, an ex-partner, things of that sort, understanding why this behavior happens and where it came from. For me, that's always been really, really helpful. It's helped me to be able to get to the point of acceptance, because I can accept why someone does what they do. Doesn't mean that it's okay and then it doesn't hurt, but at least I can accept, like, okay, this is where this is coming from and it had nothing to do with me. So as a grown adult, I know that anything that I maybe didn't get from my father or my mother, that had nothing to do with me. That had to do with themselves. It didn't mean that it didn't hurt at the time, but I have to be able, as an adult, to be logical and self-aware to know, okay, I know that this wound came from this, but now how do I heal this wound? And the only way I can really heal it is to, in the moments when the wound comes up, I have to be able to say, oh, there it is, and self-parent myself through this. So one of the, I don't want to say quickest ways to heal your relationship with your mother, but the first thing is you have to accept her for who she is. And I feel like sometimes this sounds very easy. Okay, I'm going to accept who she is. I get it. She's narcissistic. But when you have interactions with her and then you feel these letdowns from her because she's not able to be there for you, that's you not accepting who she is. So if you sit in that space of that, oh my God, I feel so hurt by her and I feel so let down, and you really sit in that for a long period of time, that's you not accepting who she is and what she's capable of giving. So she's incapable of having a real connection. She's incapable of being able to sit in a space for you. So when she does something that's hurtful or shames you or whatever it is, you have to, in that moment, whenever that wound comes up, either anger or sadness or whatever that comes up, of course, validate it. Okay, I understand why you're here. I'm a human being. Of course, I'm going to feel feelings. But then you have to be able to say, okay, but she's doing this because of this. And again, I've said this in a lot of videos. For me, that just always took the emotion out of it for me. It allowed me to remove myself from the situation because I wasn't causing her to be this way. This just was who she was, or whoever, it doesn't really matter. But so when you understand when your mother does something, to just accept she's incapable. I feel like that's the first step towards real healing, is when you can just say, this is who she is, I cannot change her, and I have to accept the behavior. Now, if the behavior is too bad, then maybe you don't have a relationship with this parent. Just because we have parents doesn't mean we have to have relationships with them. When we become an adult, we get to now choose who is a part of our life. So for me, this is step number one, is absolutely important, is accepting who she is and her ability to not be able to be there for you emotionally. One of the questions that I often get in terms of self-parenting is, how do I know how to parent myself? How do I know how to have that inner dialogue with myself and what to say to myself when I didn't have healthy parents? I didn't have parents that were able to do that for me. And what I always say to everyone is, most of us didn't get everything that we wanted from both of our parents. Even if we had a great relationship with our dad, maybe we had a crappy one with our mom and she wasn't able to really be there for us, or vice versa. Or maybe we had a good relationship with both parents, but there was something that was missing that you wanted from your dad or from your mom. Doesn't mean they were a bad person, but they weren't able to always do this for you. Or maybe they did too much for you and they enabled a lot of behavior. So you're never going to have a perfect parent. So I think a lot of learning how to self-parent is not about saying, well, I didn't have great parents, so how can I do it for myself if I didn't have that? This is really about, what did you want to get from them? What did you want your mom to say to you that she didn't say to you? How did you want her to treat you? That's the only way to know how to parent yourself. You don't need to have had amazing parents that did everything right, because I don't even think that's even possible, because we're human beings and we're here to learn lessons. I think it's more about learning yourself and what do you need in order to self-soothe. What are the things that you need to say to yourself that are helpful and encouraging? So what I do for myself is probably not what you do for yourself, right? Because everyone's different. So understanding, what did she not give you that you wish she had given you? The next thing that was really helpful for me, and I actually learned this from Lisa Ramona, and she's a YouTuber as well. She's a life coach. She's absolutely amazing. And one of the things that she always says is, it's not you, it's your programming. And that's really important. So when you understand that a lot of the negative stuff that's playing in your head, it comes from a lot of those relationships that you had with your parents, because again, they didn't mirror back what they were supposed to. They didn't teach you how to stay connected to yourself. They weren't able to sit in a space for you, so you weren't able to learn how to do that for yourself. So when that negative thought comes, you have to know that it's part of your programming, like Lisa says, or it's part of that wound that got triggered time and time again as you were growing up, and the I'm not enough story starts playing. So when you know where your thoughts come from, and you know, okay, this negative thought is not me, I'm not going to attach to this thought because that's not who I am, that's coming from my wounded self, that's coming from my ego, you're able to disassociate from these thoughts and not hold on to them. Because when we hold on to those thoughts, that's where suffering happens. And so learning how to monitor the thoughts that come through and not attach to every single one that passes by you allows you to live a peaceful life, a happy life. So the last thing towards healing this relationship is, you have to learn how to stand up to your parents. And this doesn't mean that we stand up to people and we tell people what we think and how we feel and we become angry. Telling someone what you think and how you feel is you being able to love yourself, to express to someone what it is that you need out of this relationship. And if someone can't respect boundaries, then you need to alter that relationship that you have, and you need to also alter your expectations on who that person is and what they're capable of. The biggest takeaway from this video is, healing with a parent can be really difficult to do for some people, and other people, it happens a little bit quicker. They're able to accept a little faster. But I think if you are an adult and you are watching this video, you're grown up now. So mommy didn't give you what she needed, but we can't constantly live in the past. There's a wound that's in you that was created possibly by her, but you have to be able to know, okay, this is where the wound is, this is what it looks like, and this is what I need to do in order to heal it. And you need to, just like any wound, if you have a scar or a cut, you have to clean it, you have to wash it, you have to put a Band-Aid on it, then you have to take the Band-Aid off after a couple days, possibly clean it again. Like, there's work that goes into healing. And so if you really want to heal this relationship, it starts with accepting her for who she is, accepting that that was your past, and working on creating a better future for yourself. And the only way you can do that is learning how to have that relationship with yourself, giving yourself the things that you wish she would have given you, that she should have given you, that would have allowed you to grow up and not be codependent and not have this emotional wound just inside of you. But that wasn't the case. And so now it's up to you to be able to heal those parts of yourself by yourself. So thank you guys so much. I hope this video has helped you understand whether or not you did have a narcissistic mother. I hope that this has really given you some great tips on how to heal that relationship and really heal that part of yourself. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you have enjoyed it, and don't forget to hit subscribe and the notification bell, and I will see you next week.